All right, so my name is Haven, and I'm going to give a quick demo of how to use a video conferencing platform called Zoom. We are here at this URL, zoom.us, and Zoom can be thought of as pretty similar to Google Hangouts. In my opinion, Zoom has a very clean platform and backend, so it's very, very simple to use. And when I'm looking at a platform like this, I'm primarily thinking about how I often find need to tutor a student online instead of meeting up in person. And in my line of work, it's usually easiest if the platform does a lot of the simplification for me, so I don't have to tell the student, make this account and then log into here and then click on this. If I can just send them a link and say, hey, at this time, click this link and I'll be available to tutor you, that's the best. That's the best option I find for me. So Zoom provides all of that. Really quickly, I'll show you what the pricing plans look like. So obviously there are plenty of different tiers where you can pay for things. I think a lot of this is most helpful if you find yourself needing to host meetings that include a lot of participants. In tutoring, that's often not the case. I'm pretty rarely needing to tutor upwards of 100 people at a time. This also includes, if you need more than one person to host. So if you have a co-teacher or anything like that, maybe if you are actually working with a university and, there's a lot of staff and there's a lot of students, maybe this is more geared towards that. But then at that point, I think you're probably using Brightspace or Desire to Learn or Blackboard or something like that. On the individual level, the free membership, you can host up to 100 participants, but you have a time limit of 40 minutes if you have more than 3 people in the chat with you. Now again, if I'm tutoring, it's often one-on-one. Very rarely is it 2 students and me at maximum. And if that's the case, again, we're under 3 invitees to the meeting, so we don't have a time limit. But if you needed to host, let's say a class online and that had maybe 6 or 7 people in it, that's more than 3, you would only have 40 minutes. So that is one downside to the free account, but I think for these purposes, it actually ends up being okay. You get all kinds of features, and something that people worry about a lot nowadays is the security aspect, and it is encrypted, which is great. So it's free to sign up, and it is. I have already signed up. So I'm going to show you what the meeting platform looks like. We're going to go over here to host a meeting, and we're going to say yes, go ahead and open. And this is what the meeting space basically looks like. And again, this is what I like about Zoom over Google Hangouts is, to me, this is just very clean. It's very clear what these commands mean. And I think it's pretty friendly. It's a good alternative. So if you're using this for the first time, you'll probably want to test your computer's mic and speakers. I'm using an Apple computer, so this is what that back end looks like. You would hit test speaker and it would give us sound, and you would basically want to make sure that you could hear that sound. This green bar is moving in response to my microphone, so it's telling me that my microphone does work, which is great news. If you have a Windows computer, I am almost positive that this prompt will pop up for you as well if you just click test, but you want to make sure those things are working before you get into a meeting space with a student. And then you have 2 basic options up here where you can join via phone. So if for some reason your computer isn't working, or if you do rely on a device more than a computer, you can dial in, which is great. It is a conferencing software first and foremost, so you would just dial the phone number, enter the meeting ID, and you would be connected to the line. With the computer, here you just say, okay, I'm going to join this audio conference. Again, at the beginning, I have the option to join with video as well, so it depends on what you're trying to do. So I'm going to say go ahead and join. And so now we're in this meeting space here. So from this window, you have all kinds of options. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and be in the meeting space, and then I wanted to invite a student from here. All I need to do is I can come down here to invite, and this gives me options via Yahoo, Gmail, or regular email to invite. Now, if you've been working with one student enough such that you have their contact information, or maybe they join Zoom, they'll show up in here. But otherwise, you can just invite via email. So I have my Gmail linked to this account, which I did when I signed up. It's very simple. So if I click this to invite a student via Gmail, what happens is an automatic email pops up, and I just have to say who it's going to go to. It's automatically titled, "Please join Zoom meeting in progress." And what you have here is just very straightforward information on how to join the meeting. So I could just send this off to anyone, if they were supposed to be in the meeting and they aren't yet, or any number of things, any number of reasons why I would be already logged into the meeting and wanting someone else to join. They can dial in. It lets them know. They can one tap if they have an iPhone. That will be underlined blue, and they can just tap it and the iPhone will automatically call the phone number. They can visit this link if they're on a device, a PC, or their phone. So that's pretty simple and straightforward, I think. Your other options once you're in the meeting are, there's a chat function, of course. Something that I think is pretty great is you can moderate who can chat with whom. So if you do have several participants and you want them to be able to ask you questions, but you don't want a lot of side conversation going on, you can choose to allow the attendees to only talk to you. I'm going to leave that on everyone. And then you can also choose who your message is going to go to. Because I don't have anyone else in this meeting, it's like, okay, send it to everyone. But if you had several other people in here, you would have the option of sending a one-off message to someone or sending something that everyone in the meeting could see. So this is what the chat window looks like. Your other options in here are pretty great. You can share your screen. And this is pretty cool. So when you're in here, this is showing you all the screens that I have open, plus these 3 options that Zoom provides. So if I wanted to share, my desktop window that you all are seeing right now, I could share that with everyone in the meeting. Let's just do that really quickly. I'll show you what that looks like. So this is what everyone is seeing. And when you're done, when you don't want to show this anymore, you just hit stop share down here at the bottom. And then you're back in your regular meeting window. Let's go back to share screen. I think this is pretty helpful depending on the type of tutoring that you do. For me, I focus on language, so it's not often that I have to do, problems or something like that, but in the traditional sense. But if you did, let's say you needed to give students something like this. You have your standard draw where you can choose what to draw. I just use this thin pencil here, but you have a couple of different options. You can change the color of it and all of that. And then you also have an option for making text. So all you do is click on the space. And you can kind of insert text anywhere around the screen, like this. Oops. And other participants are able to see this, and you can also allow them through your settings to be able to annotate on this page or not. So if they had questions like, I don't understand where this point comes from, they are able to do that from their end as well, once you're in this screen sharing space. The erase, which is kind of silly to highlight, but I really like that all you have to do is click. Some other programs require you to kind of do a lot of scribbling around, and with this one, it's very simple. So you can just clear your screen very easily. And I guess it's pretty helpful as well if you want to do other types of text as well. So presenting these and you're like, what is the use? Anything like this that you want to do via whiteboard. It's a pretty neat. You could say stop share. And again, that exits you out of the whiteboard. Everyone in the meeting can still hear you because we're connected via audio. If we were connected via video, everyone would still be able to see me as well, but they would be just back in this window rather than seeing the whiteboard. You can manage participants. So that's another nice thing. If you have multiple folks, you can choose to mute everyone. You can choose to unmute everyone just to eliminate background sound. Often when you have more than one person in a meeting like this, the sound interference can be pretty problematic. So you can control that as the meeting host. You can do all kinds of things. So if several students have their hands raised because they have questions and then you answer it, you can lower all of them so that notification stops coming through. One more nice thing, if you are freelance tutoring, which again is something that I think a lot of us in education find ourselves needing to do at some point, you can, if you're using Zoom, a service you can offer is say, hey, I'm going to tutor you through here, and then at the end, I'm going to send you a video recording of our tutoring session so that you have that to refer back to as many times as you want. I find that to be very helpful. And you can do that for free with Zoom, even with the free package. All you do is hit the record button. So we're now recording in Zoom, and you can pause it or stop the recording at any time at any of these buttons. So if you need to pause, catch your breath, resume, pretty simple. And then let's say we're done doing the part that we're going to record. We go ahead and stop that. Zoom lets you know that the recorded file will be converted to MP4 once the meeting is over. What that means is once I hit end meeting, a window is going to pop up. Well, here this is saying, do I just want to leave the meeting or do I want the meeting to be over for all the participants? We'll say end meeting for all. And then here what's happening is we're converting the meeting, and I automatically get a window pop up that shows me where it is in my computer. So if I wanted to send just the audio, I could send this to my student. I could send the full playback or the MP4. The MP4 would probably be the most useful. And then they would have a recorded session of everything we did that day. So that's Zoom. There are a lot more features. I'm already way over the time limit that we discussed, so I'm not going to get into that, but I do think it's very helpful. Again, all a participant needs is to click a link. So if you're working with a student who isn't, maybe for one reason or another, they're not a traditional student, and so their surface area with computers and technology is maybe different from yours, or often I work with populations that are not used to the same technologies that we use in the United States. They have their own versions of those that are a little different. And sometimes it can be helpful to just use this one thing where they just have to click a link and it's not a learning curve where you have to adapt to what they're used to or they have to adapt to what you're used to. It can just be really straightforward like this. So that's Zoom. I'm going to try using this just to tutor some of my students. As you guys know, I have a teeny baby right now, so I'm not able to teach in the classroom. So I think Zoom is pretty helpful for folks like me who, for whatever reason, need to teach out of their home for a little bit. So that's that, and I hope you find it helpful. Thanks.